All right, what's up, guys? Welcome to the Greg Ryder Show. And on today's episode, we had Marc-Anthony, and this is a friend of mine from Ontario. I've known this guy for probably the last 5 years, and I met him at a show in Toronto. I was laughing back then at his stuff, and now he's evolved into a comedian that is just doing great things. He's amassed a great following online, and I am just so happy to have him on the show today to talk. We had so much jerky involved, and he said, I said, how can we make this podcast a home run for you? He said, hey, give me a glass of water and some jerky. So we brought jerky. We brought local jerky from B Smoke House. And then there's Jack Link stuff. But I can't wait for you guys to hear this episode. And yeah, stay tuned. Greg Ryder Show. Let's get into it. All right, welcome to the Greg Ryder Show, and today we have an awesome guest, Marc-Anthony.
Woo! Thanks for having me, man.
Man,
this is great.
I haven't seen you since last time you were in Calgary. You were doing a little show.
Yeah.
Where was that at again?
Comedy Monday night.
Mm-hmm. And I was just like, I don't think I told you. I was like, I'm just gonna show up. And And I sat in the front, and I was like trying to get your attention. I was like, you're like, lights are in your eyes, and then And then we talked after. I was just like,
yeah.
Man, it was so good to see you.
Yeah, great. I'm like happy to see you again. This is great.
Yeah.
I love when you meet people at shows and then you're like, you jive with people, which we did that first time.
Yeah.
Bonded over quite the interesting gig. And here we are. And now we've like kept in touch. Like I love that. You know what I mean? Natural formed relationships through the arts.
Yep.
The corniest thing I could have said right there.
So you're out here. You're finished up an Alberta tour. Mm-hmm. How many dates did you do across Alberta?
It was 12 shows in 10 days. So
12 shows in 10 days?
Yeah. Awesome. Not the longest tour I've done, but definitely jam-packed. Post-child.
Yeah.
10 days is like 8 months with a newborn. So, I feel like I've been here forever. Hit almost every small town I could think of.
Yeah.
Between now and over the years, I think I've played every small town in Alberta,
So when people are hearing this episode, it's going to be a couple months after the tour. Mm-hmm. But talk to me, like, kind of where did you start? How many years have you been coming out to Alberta? What keeps bringing you back to Alberta?
The money keeps bringing us back. Is that the camera I'm looking at? The money, okay? Alberta's got the cash. They don't shut things down. You know what I'm talking about?
Hearing that?
You hearing that? Dude, I've been coming since... I want to say my first time here was 2015, 2016, somewhere in there. Alberta's the place that lets you stretch, meaning you'll never do, even if you headline clubs in Toronto or Ontario, anywhere else in Canada, you're never doing an hour. You know what I mean? Okay. You're doing 45s, 40s, somewhere in there. Alberta, the road gigs, they send you with an opener and the closer, and the opener does 30, 35, and the closer does 60 minutes, like in the contract, 60 minutes, which never happens. Right. So like, if you want to really build up your time on stage, instead of going to the cities and doing quick 10s and stuff like that, you go on the road, you do 20s, you do 30s. Over here, it's like, okay, instead of 10s, it's 30s, So you go and do 30s on the road. And then when you headline, you're like, oh, I've got about 40 minutes. And then they're like, well, we got to do 60. And you're like, okay, fuck. You know what I mean? So you have that chance to stretch it out and this and that, and everything pays really well. They put you up. So
love that.
Yeah, can't complain.
Alberta repping strong in the creative arts. It's funny because that's the reason that brought me out here. Was I moved out here 2021, and I remember sitting back in Ontario, and I had no gigs on my schedule. I'm doing landscaping for $18 an hour. I'm mowing rich people's grasses, and I'm just like, what am I doing?
Yeah.
Like, what am I doing with my life? Like, I just moved home from Nashville a year or so ago, 2 years ago now. And I'm like sitting at home, I'm like, I can't even do what the heck I've been dedicating my life to.
Yeah.
I'm doing freaking grass. I'm doing entry-level jobs. So I came out here, met this bar owner, and he flew me out for a fundraiser. And when I came out here, I met the people from out west, and I loved talking with the people.
Oh, yeah.
The people are incredible. They didn't talk about COVID. The thing was there was a light at the end of the tunnel. In Ontario, there wasn't.
Yeah.
It was like, here's my hands. Just tell me when I can walk out of my house.
Right.
So I came out here, and I actually, like I said before we started, I played more shows that summer than I did in the last 2 or 3 years.
Yeah, that's the best. I mean, it's the same for comedy, man. You can like, everyone's like, oh, you didn't go to BC, you didn't go to Saskatchewan. I was like, there wasn't a need to. Like,
yeah.
You know, I can pack my shows, and we didn't hit a lot of small towns on this run that we usually do. And we, you know, between me and Andrew, who I'm with, he's got his gigs that he's been cultivating for years, and so do I. And it's like, I've been hitting the same brewery every year for the past 5 years. Every time I come here, it's packed. Sometimes we do 3 shows in a night because of how much I've gotten to know the community, the brewery, the people there. And it's like, you just don't get that in Ontario, or I guess because, you know, it's also a population thing where like the small towns in Ontario are still pretty fucking big, and there isn't much of a community going on. Even Toronto itself is like 10 small towns crammed into the city, if you know what I mean. Yeah. So, different vibes for sure. That definitely makes it easier to kind of build an audience and stretch and work on your material. Yeah. You can also push the buttons a little, you know?
Out west?
Yeah. Like you can go a little less PC, if you know what I mean. You know what I mean? Yeah. Even in Edmonton and Calgary, like the major cities, you can still be like, you know what? Let's see how far I can go with this. Yeah. You know what I mean? And no one fucking cares. Like, if it's not funny, it's not funny. They don't laugh. But like, no one's like canceling you or complaining or gives a shit. Like, you know what I mean? So definitely everybody's more chill.
I love the way people talk about like out west, and now living out here, like you start to see it, and people talk about Banff. They talk about like, you know, there's so many more things that you can talk about. And like, I feel like I became more brave since living out west. Like, I can actually speak my mind on my social media, and I'm not as afraid that like my mom's gonna block me, right? Or, you know.
No, I hear you.
But we've known each other for going back to, what year was that?
2018. It was pre-pandemic for sure.
Okay, pre-pandemic for sure.
I remember you were like, my memory could be wrong, but I think you just came back from Nashville. Yeah. But you were going back as well. Like, you were home for I think because it was Christmas time around there. Like, it was because it was dead of winter. Remember, we did that gig. It was the dead of winter, and you were like, "Oh, I'm here, but like I'm living in Nashville. I'm going back." It was something like that.
What a treat that is for you to bring that in my head, because the whole plan was to go back.
And you didn't end up going back to Nashville?
No.
Oh, wild. Yeah. Crazy.
Yeah, dude. So
I remember being like, because dude, like, not to cut you off, but comics are just so attached to this, like, oh, let's go to the States, right?
Yeah.
Because it's just way better.
Yeah.
So when I met you and you're like, oh, I'm an artist and I'm in the US, I was like, fucking adding this guy right away. He's in Nashville. I'm going to Nashville. Like, you know what I mean? Yeah. Next day I was like, I met this guy from Nashville. I'm going to go there. Because at that time, a bunch of comics that I knew also moved to Nashville. Yeah. And we're like, oh, you know, it's great. Don't go to LA or New York. Go to some of the smaller cities that have a good art scene that are popping off. And so I also did not go to Nashville yet. So
yeah, dude, and that's so funny because I just realized that the way Nashville was doing to me, like, I realized that I wasn't really wanting to go the mainstream route. Like, I didn't really want to go labels or anything like that. So I just felt like I hit this point where I got home in 2018, and like, man, I was just like unsure about my whole direction. Like, I was like, I was drinking a little bit too much. I was partying. Like, a lot of stuff kind of got out of hand. I was actually realized how unhappy I was. And I did 300 shows that year. I did 210 band shows across the US, and then about a bunch of acoustic shows in Nashville.
That's unbelievable.
Yeah. And I was so burnt out, dude. And I was so exhausted. I came home and I was like, man, I just need to chill. And then the plan was to go back in a couple months, but like, I just decided, I'm just like, something's telling me to stay here in Ontario right now. And I was like, I don't know what it was, but yeah.
A question for you. 2 things. Is that the most amount of shows you played in a year?
100%.
Second question. What made you say no to the labels? Like, how come you didn't? And is labels always attached to mainstream?
Or I just suck at people telling me what to do. And these shows were all cover shows. So I was always playing like 4 hours, like cover shows. And like, I wasn't really playing an original music. And I just wanted to.
That's what you mean by cover shows. You mean like cover songs, not like the cover is a certain dollar value.
Yeah.
Oh, got you. Okay.
Yeah. So I was just playing other people's music for 4 hours, and I was playing these bars. And I was always playing to drunk people. I was up, like I was just drinking too much, and then I just realized I think it just got a little carried away down in Nashville. I was like, I need to take a break from this whole scene. And I decided to actually go on that school tour. And then I went across Canada and I spoke and performed at 100 high schools across Canada. Damn. And talked about mental health and talked about like my struggle with, mental health and stuff like that. So that's the route that I chose just because I felt more called to kind of like inspire youth with my story rather than just playing to drunk people every night. But back to you.
No, dude, I wanted to do that same thing. I reached out to schools. I wanted to plan a school tour. And they were like, comedy? You're fucking nuts. No chance in hell. They're like, are you doing slam poetry?
Yeah.
Sure. Music? Sure. They're like, how are you going to do comedy that's acceptable?
Yeah.
That's going to inspire the kids to do it. And I'm like, and then they were also like, but are you successful? Like, do we really want to be pushing the kids to be doing something like this? Now, at the time, I had a day job still, this and that. And I went to go play a couple high schools in the Scarborough area. And I followed a slam poet, you know what I mean? Like me and the slam poetry guy did like a few of them together and was telling the kids what I wanted to tell them that I wish I was told in high school.
Nice.
And they were just like, I spoke to the principal and everyone involved. They're like, there's no chance that anyone would want to do this again. They're like, what you were talking about, like, like sexual innuendo, all this stuff. Yeah. They're like the content itself. And I'm like, well, I know what these kids want to hear. I know what they're thinking. And just because you don't want me to say what I know is going to resonate with them is idiotic.
That's it.
I'm like, yeah. So I'm like, you guys are acting as this fictitious shield in front of the children, as if you were in high school getting fucking boners randomly in class, struggling to figure out who the fuck you were. You know what I mean? Like, give me a break, So are we allowed to swear on this? I have no idea.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, cool.
But it's funny because the schools, I love how you put it with the shield, because when I went on that tour, I couldn't mention the word anxiety. I couldn't
give me a break.
I couldn't mention the word depression, mental health. I had to pretty much beat around the bush and say, I had to describe my whole story without using the real things that everyone's going through.
But that's why you're there. It's like, we're doing a mental health week, but don't say that.
Don't say it. You might give people an idea.
Oh my God. And you know what, dude? I can't get going on the school system. It really pisses me off. It triggers me. And I can't, you know what I mean? I get pissed off because the curriculum's all fucked up. They're not really trying to develop people to do what they want to do and have a happy life. They just want people to be, workers and control people and
teach us absolutely how to get a good job and absolutely like it's so clear now, and I would love to go back and like I just can't wait till these kids get a little life experience under them, hit their quarter life crisis, and then they go.
But some people never do. Some people never wake up. And I was, I heard this on a Rogan podcast, this Jimmy Carr episode, where they were talking about like some people just right out of school just jump into that career because they have so much student debt. Like it's just this giant weight of like, well, I got to work this off. And next thing you know, you're 40 and it's like, well, fuck,
Yeah.
And now I got to reinvent myself, or like I've lost 40 years of my life. Some people don't even reach that age, And like, me and Andrew were talking about in the car, the curriculum just being like when there's no personal finance course and people don't even understand, as Andrew calls it, compound interest. He had to teach that to me on this fucking tour. So it's like I'm 30 something and I'm learning about how interest and credit cards really fucking work.
Yeah.
That's a nightmare. Now, okay, I'm not the smartest individual. A lot of people watching this are going to be like, you're an idiot. We all know that. Okay, go ask any student who just graduated high school if they understand how it works.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They don't even know how to handle their own money and save. And
they know how to balance a spreadsheet though.
Yeah. Jesus Christ.
Because you can get a accountant job or, man, the school system. And I learned a valuable lesson that it's just not my market. Yeah. And you know what? It just taught me that I need these kids a little bit more older, because The thing is that kids in high school, like they've been kicked around a bit with some stuff, but I feel like when you start to get really out in the world and you start to really get out on your own and you start to really see what the world's made about, it's like then you start rubber meets the road, and that's when these guys kind of need the correction and the course correct.
Buddy, that's the most Alberta saying I've ever heard. When the rubber meets the road, unbelievable. You got to make a fucking t-shirt that says that. When the rubber meets the road. Yee! You know what I mean? Like, that's great. That's a motorcycle commercial. That's fantastic.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. But no, to tag on what you're saying, the college crowds are no better because they get into this different mindset. Like we do so many shows at colleges and like, dude, they're know-it-all, ultra PC, like progressive, you guys fucked us up. You don't know anything. Like, and you're just at a disadvantage because they think they know what's going on. Meanwhile, you know, their $100,000 what do you call it, tuition is paid by their parents anyways, and they really have no sense of what money is regardless, but they just think they know how to change the world. They're all little Greta Thunbergs. Like, it's a mess. So
it's crazy to think, like, what shows do we have to play as artists and musicians and creatives? It's like, and like you talked about that, like you're playing the same bars over and over, and you're just getting, you know, just they compound over years, and you're getting more people. That's how you got to do it, right? And you got to build off your shows from last year. But like, I love the fact that like we both kind of come from this industry where, you know, we know that it's an absolute grind, and we chose a path that's not like any other people, and it takes a lot of years of being misunderstood and your friends being like, still doing that comedy thing?
Oh fuck, I get that to this day. And I'm like 10 years in. Like, give me a break. You know? It's crazy. And like you know, back to we met in Toronto days. We met in Mo Mondays. We met at this funny gig, and then I followed you along. And one of my favorite things that you do is your Nona, your impersonation. And I came up to you after that show, and I was like, dude, that is one of the funniest things I have ever heard. Which story was that? Do you remember?
Oh, dude, it was
like, what was I?
It was
talking
something
about?
sexual. It was something,
for sure. They all are. Is it the pepper spray and stuff? Was it that one?
I don't know, dude.
Don't know? Okay, cool.
But no, it was something. I just remember you doing the voice, and it was something sexual, and I was just like howling and I was like, dude, this is so funny. But yeah, dude, I love the Nona. You got Dougie now. Yeah,
Doug's been great. I mean, it was good in the pandemic, and you know, and it helped me, you know, notch up the followers quite a bit. But now if I do anything, it just doesn't really hit because he doesn't seem to be doing much or saying much in the mainstream news anymore. That's really, you know, at that time, everyone was like, you know, waiting at the edge of their seat for Doug to say something that was going to open up, close down, whatever, right? Yeah. So everyone was like tuning into what Doug was saying no matter what. And now it's like, you know, he's a scroll past. Like, no one cares. You know what I mean?
It's almost lost its shine. Like, because everyone's like they're not comparing it to the real Doug Ford. It's like, oh no.
And now Doug Ford's being hilarious. Like, he's using my lines quite a bit. So if you go and watch his videos, you're like, this guy's now doing me as himself, which is amazing. Insane. Like, he's saying, oh, Timmy's this, eating that. And I'm just like, you're hilarious, bro. You know? So
how was the pandemic for you though? Like, you know, with your career, like, was there some dark spots that like kind of like tell me how it went? Did it start strong, to end strong?
I mean, I got married in the pandemic, so that was a good thing. The pros and cons with that, but I was still living at home at the time. My condo got pushed back and all that stuff, so like the move-in dates and all that was pushed out. So got married and was still living at home, which was fucking weird, but whatever. But comedy-wise, like, that really made me do more content and put more emphasis into social media, which I should have been doing from the jump, but didn't really. And then virtual shows. Like, I was just kind of like, okay, how can I just be funny with what I have available? Everyone's at home, so let's make fun of what's going on and what I can do. You know what I mean? And really tried to start doing that stuff. And it was taking off. I was getting paid quite a bit for the virtual shows for like these mental health awareness weeks. And every company was like, oh, everyone's working from home. We need someone to entertain us, give us a break. So I would do these Zoom shows and, you know, built a little like setup like this with a backdrop and a mic and, you know, had a good camera and shit like that so that it looked better than just me on my laptop with headphones on. So that was going well. Had a lot of corporate money from that. And I mean, I was lucky, like, living at home. A lot of people, like my brother and sister, moved back in as well. So like we were all just hanging out. It basically felt like Christmas break for 2 years. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, I got into making sourdough and gained weight, and I was like, this is great. You know,
Yeah.
my brother actually found like his calling in life and took up the mixology, and but now he's full-time mixologist. From him just testing out drinks at home, would go to the LCBO, would taught himself and built his own recipe books and shit like that. It's insane. So just getting hammered from like testing his drinks and shit. So and then obviously Alberta was the first place to open up. And like as soon as they could, and stayed open as long as they could. So more than once, I think in that 2-year span, I came out here and had some of the most profitable sold out tours I've ever done in Canada. So shout out to all those breweries that, you know, put us up, and theaters and whatever. Like everyone's like, yeah, no, fuck yeah, let's do it. So a lot of people had a very terrible pandemic, lived alone, were locked away alone with just their dog and shit. Like fortunate that wasn't the case for me. So I'd say that, you know, and then I started that YouTube channel with my buddy Austin, and we did Doug Ford and Justin Trudeau. We'll
get into that YouTube, because that is hilarious.
Okay, cool.
You guys crush that. But I love the fact that, so many people either had, it got worse for them in pandemic. Like some people's lives got better, where these corporate jobs went remote. And then for the creatives, we got pretty hit hard and that kind of stuff. We had to work our way around it. But I feel like I've been watching your career grow, you know, just following you on Instagram and just seeing just this steady incline. And it's just like, man, like the stuff you're doing now. So now you have your own like comedy production company?
I always had that, but I never really, like I was sort of just producing my own shows myself. And then I kind of like, you know, like when you go on a tour, you just run it through a company basically, right? So I was always doing that, but not with much of the strategy was like, okay, sell shows to places or produce my own show. And it was one or the other. But in the pandemic, I was like, okay, I'm getting a lot of traction corporate wise. Then I started, people were asking me to come do like HR seminars. So I would do these seminars in front of like 1,000 people from all the like 500 companies, all their HR reps are there. And I'm like, you know, telling them about comedy and mental health, how we have to bridge the gap, bring it into the workplace, and then we'll do a set after and get all this work out of it after. And it's like, okay, then I started to shift that to more of a corporate based booking company type thing. So, and now it's sort of just like, it's anything. I realized you either got to be a booker or a comic because you get spread too thin. Both Andrew and I try to do both because you save money tax-wise by running it through companies and whatnot. So to have more themed and curated tours makes sense and helps with the bookings and stuff. So, but yeah, the pandemic and the social media made me realize, okay, there's way more value in putting time and effort and investing in myself as the comic rather than trying to develop the infrastructure of Canadian comedy. Do you know what I mean? It's like so many people do that. No one knows who they are and no one fucking cares and it doesn't matter. I was like, I'm going to get more value out of just being Marc-Anthony the comic. Do you know what I'm saying? So it was definitely a positive shift. I feel like I don't know what I'm saying right now, but do you know what I
get
mean?
it. Okay, I get cool. It. No, I get it. But like the things you do with like the Northern Ontario stuff, like that is just nostalgic. Like the stuff at you at like the cottages and man, that brings me so back. That's the one thing I miss Ontario is just like the Muskoka summers and stuff like that. But yeah, no, I love what you're doing, man. I think it's hilarious. Where I love what you said, you bridging the gap between mental health and comedy, because you know, for me, I see that as such a link, as such a bridge, and I think more people are open to it because laughter is just so important, and especially during the pandemic, is like so many people, you know, they were isolated, like they needed those laughs, they needed like to get out, and it's sad. It's not funny because it's sad because a lot of people, you know, really started to drink a little bit too much, started to overindulge and stuff, and you know, but I love that you're bridging the gap. Like, talk to me about, you know, mental health and the importance of that as a comedian. Like, do you have to be more careful with some things, or?
Yeah, and that's what pisses me off because you would think that it's like easy connection where you're like, oh, people should be hiring comedians as their first instinct all the time, no matter what, because comedy and mental health, laughing, dopamine kicks and all, like it's oxytocin release. Like it's like scientifically it works no matter what at all costs. You know what I mean? So it's like, why wouldn't you? But because the rise of cancel culture and things you can and cannot say and all that kind of stuff, it's like comedy then also gets, I don't want to say demonized, but like, you know, it gets sort of like this like Kiss back in the 70s and 80s where it's like, that's fucking Satan's work. Not quite to that extent where it's like, you know, rock and roll and metal was sort of gets this label of something that shouldn't be in the mainstream and that isn't helpful. And, you know, even though music, it's how many lives does music save on a fucking daily basis and pulls people out of depression because someone else is relating to them with their music. So I feel it's the same way for comedy, and I feel like it's taken way too fucking long for them to understand that this is a marriage that should work. Yeah. And that the, let's call it overly PC side of the cancel culture stuff, it's like, yeah, sure, we don't need to be saying that stuff to perform at these places, but it's mind-blowing that people get a little apprehensive about going to see comedy or hiring people for, you know, having comedy in their workplace when it's just the obvious choice for a mental health boost. It's insane. Yeah. Because the science is fully there and then the research has been done and it's like, yeah, okay, I don't need to come in there and say a bunch of shit that's going to offend you. I mean, you might laugh harder if it's funny and if I make it work. So you should just be a little bit easier on it. But again, school and the corporate universe is very similar where it's like, let's protect people. Let's make sure no one's feelings are hurt because that might damage them even more. And it's like, how many therapists and individuals do you need to listen to tell you that laughing and is a way to cope with these things? It's never intended to be damaging. You know what I mean? So it's like our goal is to laugh about the traumas. As comics, we laugh about our own traumas. We make light of our own traumas and issues from our own life and stuff like that. And you come to see us, you laugh at my life and my traumas. That's no problem. But if I say something that, you know, all of a sudden you're like, well, that happened to me. That's not funny. It's like, okay, bro. Then you're just not ready to cope and move forward and progress. You want to stay in this shell of like, poor me, I'm a victim and this and that. And it's like, there's no progress in that. Yeah. So, I mean, yeah.
All right, I just want to pause this conversation quickly just to talk about one of our dear sponsors, Rocket Grid Marketing. They are an incredible Alberta-based digital marketing company, and they focus on growing brands. They focus on hitting business goal needs and whatever your business may need to take you to the next level. So if you want to check out more about what they do, head to rocketgrid.ca and see what they do.
Do you have ambitious business goals but not sure where to get started? We've got you covered. Rocket Grid Marketing, your integrated marketing experts.
We should talk about next time you come out, like even trying to link maybe some comedy and music.
Absolutely.
I would love that. Out, like, you know, because that's the kind of stuff that I like to do. Like I'll play my original songs and then I'll even do some improv. I'll try and make up songs on the fly with people. But, you know, we were talking, Tyler, producer, the guy that does part of Rocket Grid Marketing. We both said that what you do is one of the scariest things. Like I can play in front of no matter the amount of people, but when it comes to like doing comedy, it's like that is the scariest thing because I would hate to like spend all this time on jokes and then get crickets.
Hey man, I mean, I would feel the same way.
Oh my God, that gives me goosebumps thinking of like no one laughing.
Dude, I mean, it happened to me last night. No one was laughing. And I was like, this is fucking torture. I got off stage and wanted to just headbutt people. So I was furious.
So it still happens 10 years in.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, you're never above a bad set. That's for sure. So, I mean, or even the joke, you know, like each joke I feel like is individual. So like, you know, yeah, a joke can just fucking eat it and people are staring at you like, buddy, you stink. You know what I mean? And you're like,
I paid for this?
Yeah. You're like, I don't, man. Trust me. Hold on. Let me do another one. Like, and you know, we've all been there and done, I've done a full 40 minutes of people just staring at me being like, nope, this is trash. And you're like, I'm going to go home and find the nearest bus and just stand there and wait for it to hit me. You know what I mean? It's terrible. But you know, it's the same thing with music, bro. Like if you were to be like, Mark, write a song, your own original, and perform it, you got 2 months. Right. I'd call you 3 days before being like, buddy, I have no idea. You got to help me out. Like and it would stress me out. I'd probably lose 15 pounds and just anxiety and stress weight. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I hear you, man. But dude, I was the same way, like growing up when I had to do a speech at school. forget it. Like I was sweating, I was losing it. I could never do it. You know what I mean? So, but then when I got into comedy, it was like, you know, you have to then make them laugh, tell these stories. You kind of find your way, you know? So it's not for everybody. I've never understood like this is the most fearful thing. Yes, we still get nervous and stuff.
Yeah.
But I feel like now for you, like with music, like you probably still get a little nervous and this and that because there's people, but you know what you're doing, you're skilled, you know what I mean?
I always get nervous, but it's always just like, it's just, you want to do your best.
Yeah.
You want to do your best and you know how every show is so important and there could be someone that tells a friend, there could be another gig that comes from it. You always want to leave your best foot.
Yeah.
And I'm always like that. I'm always like, I just want to leave this place with happy customers and people being like, hey, he's good. I want him back again, or I want to book him for a private event.
Dude, I'm getting pissed from last night. Like that was my exact same thought. Now, I didn't have the worst set of my life, but I was like just not happy with it. And there was peers there that I respect and want them to respect me as they see me again because I'm in their city. And then the club that I like and want to perform in more. And I'm like, oh, I've never been here. Like, this should be, I'm going to crush this. They're going to want me back. It's great. All these things. And then you do your set and you're like, fuck sakes. You crush in Drumheller. No one there remembers your fucking name. No one cares. You know what I mean? They're like, oh yeah, we saw some comedy stuff. That was pretty good. And then you're in Calgary, like where a bunch of people are already in the industry that you will see again. And you're like, are you for real? Is it, this had to pan out this way? You know what I mean? So,
that's tough.
One of the comics last night gave me a nice humbling thing because we did 2 shows last night. One in Okotoks and then Calgary was the late show. And Okotoks was like probably my best set of the tour. And then she's like, you know what happened? Calgary just decided to humble you. That's what comedy does. It punishes you for enjoying that set too much. you know what I mean? Because you come off with this high and you're like, I crushed, I'm fantastic. And then she's like, and then comedy goes, you're not that good. Why don't you fucking relax? You know what I mean? So comedy, and I'm sure as in all art forms, it has a way of humbling you nicely.
It does. Absolutely, man. No.
Kicks you in the stomach all the time.
Yeah.
Get back down this ladder,
You play for a big show and all of a sudden you're playing to like, I think I played a show here in town. I charged them more than I have in a while and 4 people showed up. It was also competing with the rodeo that was in town. So like everyone was going to the rodeo and oh my God, 4 people showed up and I felt like crap. I'm like, this is horrible.
Yeah, that's happened to me.
Yeah.
4 people and you're like...
The good thing is I have the emotional support guitar. So like even if no one laughs or anything, I can just be like, hopefully they walk away and be like, his voice was okay.
Right.
Like his jokes sucked, but like he could sing that Chris Stapleton song pretty well.
Right.
So that's the only thing I got going for me if I get crickets. Yeah,
I mean, I had to do this. I don't want to name the show or the time because it's traumatic, but... Andrew was on the same gig with me. We did 8 people and in a room that can fit fucking 100 times that. And you're like, well, don't know how the fuck this happened, but here we are. And you do it. And you're like, it was so funny because this family came, like, so it was 2 groups of 4 where I feel if it was a bunch of individuals, like 8 people and each person, because then you're creating a group, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But when you have a family of 4 and then another group of 4, it's kind of like you're playing 2 people almost, especially with the family because they brought their kids and they asked if they could bring their kids in and one was like 14 and one was 12 and I'm like, I don't know what the fuck you guys were thinking, you know what I mean? Because it's sex jokes or this and that and like the kid like wants to laugh but his mom is right next to him, it's like I remember even watching a movie with my mom and like a lady's in a bra and I was like, oh fuck. You know what I mean? Like you just sink in the chair, you get red, you're like, turn this off, And your mom just...
crap. I think I go to the washroom.
Yeah, you're like, I need to leave. There's titties on the screen.
Wow. What are those?
Yeah, I've never seen that before.
Yeah.
I have a boner. Gotta go to bed. You know what I mean? Like, so...
I'm all of a sudden really tired.
Yeah. I really don't want to finish watching this movie. It sucks that it's,
What is this? What is it on Netflix? I'll go watch in my room.
Yeah. Your mom's like, oh, you want to go to bed? It's 8 o'clock. You're like, yeah, I'm going to get an early start tomorrow.
Long day. Played video games all day.
Yeah. Crazy, dude.
I love it. Well, listen, we got you a little surprise.
I can see that.
We got you some jerky. So we asked you before you came over and say, what are we going to hit this with a home run? And you said jerky.
You know what's funny? I'm going to just want to tell the audience.
Your jerky story.
I am going to tell the audience here. I was fully joking about this. Like, they were like, what would make this podcast a dream come true? And I was like, water? And I was like, you really want to go above and beyond jerky? And these guys have local jerky, which I don't give a fuck where you're from. You haven't had jerky unless you've had Alberta jerky. Now,
this is B Ranch Smokehouse. These guys are incredible. Local to Strathmore.
Buddy,
try this one.
That's what I was gonna say. I'm like, I saw Jack Links and I was like, I can get that at home.
Yeah,
I went to Longview Jerky. I spent $300 on jerky.
Yeah, I had to get you some. I had to get the real stuff too. We got a whole bunch of different flavors,
brother. You know what's funny? People were like, "You really spent that much on jerky? Like, that's insane." I'm like, "Is it though?" Cheers, bro. Ooh, yeah, this smells good. Brother. Yeah, see, this is what I'm talking about. Fuck, it's spicy. Damn. Okay, what do we got? What's this flavor here?
Is that date night?
Date night. No, this one is spicy dill pickle beef. God damn.
I don't want to chew on the mic.
Oh, yeah.
Tyler, get yourself a piece.
Get in here. Andrew, are you in here? Is Andrew here?
Oh, yeah. We gotta leave Andrew a slice.
Is Andrew here? No? Whoa! This is
good?
spicy as a motherfucker.
We should have done this at the start of the show. Then you'd be sitting here sweating the whole time.
No, you know what? You know what I love?
How thick it is?
Yo, you ever seen that Instagram? You ever seen that famous Instagram meme where the two fat people are eating in their front seat and that Southerners is like, yeah, I make my pussy throb. You seen that one?
Yeah.
That's what jerky does to me. And when you're like, took it right out of my mouth. You're like, how thick it is? Bro, your balls just go, like, I don't know how to describe masculinity to somebody, but this is it. You're in Alberta having thick jerky, and he says what's on your mind about why it's so good. Thick and juicy. The tip of your dick just goes, ooh.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible.
This is fantastic.
I'm crying.
Longview jerky. What I loved about it is like, there's not another place in Canada. If there is, I don't know about it, which would be odd. That is only jerky. Like, it's a jerky store.
Right.
Out back, there's animals hanging, like full carcasses.
I love it.
They got the butcher shop. They got you know what I mean?
Yeah.
People are coming in there with full elk being like, hey, thanks a lot. And they pay them for I'm like, this is insane. They have, I don't know, 12 different flavors of jerky, 4 or 5 different cuts. Is that you, Andrew? Buddy, try this fucking jerky.
You gotta try this jerky.
This jerky's fire. It's also spicy as shit. It's up there.
It's up there, right?
Dude,
Andrew Packer, he's coming on the next podcast. We're gonna hear his story.
it's spicy as shit.
Oh, this is just one piece. I can finish it?
Yeah.
Sure. You
Got
sound like, I know how you get.
I know how you
We got
get.
another bag.
Got another bag.
We got another bag.
Now, let's compare it. I've never had this flavor, hickory smoke.
Yeah.
Can I open this?
Yeah. Go for it.
How good is that?
Very tender, though.
I want.
Good chew. I would say medium chew.
Medium. Yeah, we're all of a sudden we're connoisseurs, bro. That's true.
We should just do jerky from all over Alberta and just give reviews.
We had a wicked bison
Keep it
jerky.
healthy. One bite.
One bite, everyone knows the rule.
Can we try this? Let's see this.
It's not even close.
Oh, I know. This is probably sitting.
Here's the thing.
I can see it from here.
You get your hands full.
Listen, Jack Links, I love you guys to death. I've been trying to get Jack Links as a personal sponsor because they sponsor my buddy, and
How much you got to eat to get that sponsor, right?
I apologize. It's just not even close,
Oh my God, no.
and they probably know it themselves.
Yeah. No, but I think I love about Alberta is like even 2 days ago, went for dinner at this family's house. No word of a lie, this cow was just butchered like today. Like it was getting smoked for 2 weeks, hanging in their garage, and it was butchered. I got a T-bone steak on the first day, and it slabs it in front of me, and I was like, "Are you kidding me?" Like I'm eating a T-bone that was just growing in their backyard.
Unbelievable. Literally best news ever.
Yeah.
We played Melissa's Mistake in Banff. And then this prime rib special where you could get the prime rib like as thick as you want. And I was like, literally, don't even cut it. Just bring as much as you can. It was fantastic. Alberta beef, you can taste the difference.
Yeah.
Alberta beef, taste the difference. Get Jack Links out of my face and give me a nice bison jerky. Dude, we had bison jerky. Unbelievable. That's what I mean. Like, I really like the variety. You know what I mean? You're not getting... You only find it in pepperettes, where it's like kangaroo, you know.
That's cool. When you said that on your Instagram story, they had kangaroo and stuff. I was like, "Okay, that's pretty interesting."
Venison, kangaroo, elk. What's the other one? Turkey.
I would bought it.
Beef.
I would have bought. I would have
I'm
bought it all too. You know,
my wife has been yelling at me every single day. She's like, "Seriously though, is that the amount?" I'm like, "Why would I lie about this?"
I put the jerky on my boots.
Bye.
I put the alligator on.
100%. Unbelievable.
Oh man, Mark, it's been an absolute honor bringing you on the show. I'm so glad that this worked out.
I'm a fat fuck. I'm like, anyway, guys, like, it's not bad. Thanks a lot. Thanks for having me. Lips smacking, beef falling on my chest. Thanks for having me, man.
Yeah. Should we open? We should probably. We'll bring. We should get the next pack open.
If you have him on and I don't get a piece of that,
no, you'll get a.
I'll fucking burn this whole goddamn studio down.
Let's just do it.
How good is that, dude? Like, I have not had bad jerky on this entire trip. I've had it from like all these local spots. I yelled at a gas station the other day
because you yelled at a gas station.
Well, the guy in the gas station. I wasn't outside like, you fucking, you know,
bring me real
what the fuck? But because this guy goes, oh, you got to have Old Dutch jerky.
Old Dutch, okay.
Right? I go in and they had Old Dutch jerky. And this is how you know you're in Alberta. I'm like, is that Old Dutch jerky? Is it good? This woman's like 400 pounds. She goes, I swear to God, she goes, it's made by Big Chief. It's all a scam. I'm like, I want to make out with you. The fact that you know that makes me know that we would have a happy, prosperous marriage together. You know what I mean? That she knows who makes Old Dutch jerky. And then she goes, you want to try that other stuff? It was Jack Links, and next to Jack Links, I can't remember the name of the company. She's like, try that stuff. And then she goes, actually, I'm pretty sure that's owned by Jack Links as well. Buddy, she reads the package. She's like, yeah, told you. Don't buy none of this shit. And I was like, is there a fucking reason?
Oh, that's clever. So they almost have different brands. They're like, if you go against Jack Links, you're still buying Jack Links.
Yes.
Smart.
I
thought about that yesterday in the grocery store. This is random, but taco seasoning. No one buys like the name brand taco seasoning. Everyone buys like Compliments. I wonder if the Compliments is owned by the big taco seasoning company.
Well, you know, it's always like, you know, Procter & Gamble owns like 500 brands that are all made in the same factory anyways, you know. But it bothers me in Alberta. This wasn't the same lady, the Old Dutch lady, but I was just like, can I ask you why the fuck you guys don't have independent jerky in these fucking gas stations? I'm like, what is this?
No markup.
Bullshit? And they're just like, it's too expensive. I'm like, I don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, or tell me where to go. Like, we drove by 40 farms. I'm like, how bad? I just want to pull up to this 15-kilometer driveway and slam on this guy's door and be like, I want 15 frozen ribeyes and whatever fucking jerky you have in your freezer. I'll empty my bank account. Like, anyways.
I'm really mad because we got some fresh steaks given to at my friend's house. I would have got you one, but she's away. So I'm sorry to get your hopes up. But we got jerky for you.
Bye.
You look like one of the like this. I love seeing Marc-Anthony in his element.
I love it, dude.
I get to see you on stage. I got to see you on stage, but I'm seeing you in your element right now, and I love it.
Doing really well on stage or eating really good food? I don't know, bro. That's a tight call. Probably eating.
Man, I love it.
But this is a treat. People don't understand. No one knows how much work goes into this, and then they source it for you. This is hospitality, pal.
B Ranch Smokehouse.
Where is that? How far is this place?
They're closed now. They live across the street. If you drive up, they'll see you walk in, and they might open the store for you.
I will, dude. I'll yell at the end of the driveway, being like, "Guys, I have cash." Or is it far? It's in Strathmore.
It's in Strathmore. It's like 2 minutes from Mike's.
Are they open tomorrow?
I can check. I got them on speed dial.
I'm gonna call them tomorrow morning and be like, "I'm flying home today, which is tomorrow." I'm like, "I'm flying home. I had your jerky in a podcast. You just have no choice.
Yeah.
Open the goddamn door, you son of a bitch."
It's Sunday, but it's like you said, the store's right across from the house.
Yeah.
So we're gonna get you some B Ranch. Mike's is great food. I was gonna try and get Baldwin's barbecue for him before he went. So what time?
What's that big barbecue spot off the highway? It literally says like
Okotoks?
big barbecue. It's on the way to Okotoks.
Yeah, that's that Big Sky.
Yeah, Big Sky Barbecue House.
They're incredible.
Fuck, dude.
They're incredible.
How many times I've been coming to this fucking place and I drove by, I'm like, off a highway, you see
could
a big
perform there,
smokehouse?
and they actually do killer shows there. They got
Really?
they got a killer room. They got a nice live music room that I played actually. But
Andrew, we got to extend the tour. Fuck.
go Big Sky. They're great.
Yeah? They open tomorrow morning for breakfast? Breakfast brisket?
Where are you flying out of?
Edmonton, unfortunately.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Not because it's a bad airport. Like, unfortunately, because we got to drive up there.
Yeah.
Maybe we can go there for lunch, though, Big Sky.
Big Sky, or I think they should try Baldwin's too.
Baldwin's Barbecue?
Yeah.
Well, Mike said he has a phenomenal brisket. He said best in town. And I was like, you sure about that? And he was like,
Okay.
absolutely. He's like 20 hours
Each
smoked.
their own. Teach their own. Like everyone.
Teach your own, pal.
Everyone's got their favorite. It's very good. Mike's is very good. He's got a lot of great food there. I'm just good friends with Baldwin's, and they've always been very good to me. So,
Dude, thank you for having me.
thank you for coming on, man.
Fucking almost ate one of those packets.
Those little salt packs.
Those little salt packets, because there's not enough salt. I won't even be able to take my boots off after this.
We're gonna write a song. Yeah. Where can we find you?
At Not Marc-Anthony on all platforms. marcanth.com on the website. Yeah.
If you guys have a chance to see this guy, he's hilarious. He's got so many voices, impersonations. He's got Nona. He's got Dougie Ford. What do you call him? Uncle Dougie?
Uncle Doug. Yeah.
Uncle Doug. Man, he's got so many good things. I've been watching this guy climb for the last couple of years, and I love seeing him in Alberta. Keep bringing him back to Alberta, folks, because this guy's going to stick around and stay, and maybe we'll do some music next time we're on the road with him. So that's all for now. I just hit the mic, and we're out.